Welcome to Goldboys Live, presented by Pickett Sports, Sleeper Picks, Hall of Fame bets. Brian, Josh, we are going to get Tone Stamp, the producer, involved because his Bengals still haven't realized the season has started. We got a lot to do. We got a day game in baseball. Braves Phillies about to be first pitch. Jets Bills tonight. Week 1 reactions, overreactions. Man, this is one of these days, guys, where like sometimes during the summer it's a struggle to get to 30 minutes. This is one where you could sit here and do a 2-3 hour show and still feel like we didn't cover everything. What's going on?
Yeah,
Man. I have a lot to say, so I'll let Josh go first.
I'm just happy those days are a thing of the past. I'm happy that we don't need to really even give a shit that there's only one day baseball game today because we've probably bet a lot of money yesterday and over the course of the last 3 or 4 days. So we're not itching to like throw bets out on under 4.5 Ks for random pitchers. I don't think today quite as much, but I do have some baseball stuff, but I do also have some football stuff. So how are you feeling, Brian? You look kind of down about yesterday.
I want to jump in quickly. One day game is plenty. If you give me one, like on a random Friday, whatever, as long as we get one.
It's the DGen action. It's like the DGen action. It's not necessarily. It's just the fact that they don't have any a lot of the times. I'll take one, only because it's a doubleheader too. But yeah, no, yesterday was fun. I actually didn't even have a bad day betting overall. I just had a frustrating day betting in terms of, you take a prop in the Sunday football game, and I took Jake Ferguson to have 25 yards, and he got like 11 right away. Had 7 target, led the game in targets, but just 2 catches. Just one of those things where you didn't have a horrible day, but you were really wanted more, and I feel like I left some on the table.
All right, let's just get to it. Week 1. Before we get to the game tonight, what's a reaction yesterday? And again, send us your Twitch chat questions, whatever. We love hearing from you guys. Helps us out. What's one thing that happened yesterday that's just going to be an overreaction? What's one thing that happened that's real that you think is legitimate? Just any takeaway, Josh. I'll start with you.
Man, I went Mac Jones under 230.5 passing yards when we did that podcast, Will. That didn't work out. He had 316, 3 teeters. I'm legit reacting to that. I think that's a legitimate reaction to how well that the Patriots offense played. I think we were all wondering how it would look under a reasonably competent offensive coordinator like Bill O'Brien. I think he did use his run game well, despite the fact that he needed to pass the ball 54 times. He started to realize that they had something there. And that they were actually getting guys open 10, 12 yards down the field. I think that they're going to continue to be able to do that with a solid, I think at what proved to be a solid offensive line against probably the best defensive line and defensive, sack tandems there. So, yeah, I feel like the Pats are legit, and that anybody who just counted them out as like a whooping cushion for the AFC East doesn't feel quite as good about it.
I'll even add to that and say that I think that they played a better game than the Eagles yesterday. I think that they played an overall better game. If you think about this, Eagles' offensive line looked terrible. Jalen Hurts missed so many reads. I mean, he just didn't make the right plays a lot. And you take away a tip pick 6 and a fumble that gave them the ball in the 26-yard line. I mean, that Eagles offense did not move the ball well at all. So I actually agree with you there. I think that was actually a good sign for the Patriots, even though they didn't come up with a win.
Look, there's a lot for both categories. I would just say for anyone that listened to our previews, and it's just one game, but we were pretty down on the Giants. I was pretty down on the Giants. As someone who had Dable coach of the year last year, I watched a lot of them, and man, it was a lot of close wins and coin flip games against bad teams, and that certainly looked the case last night. It's funny, they drove the ball down. Like the first thing I saw was like, I think they first and
they
goal
were going to take the lead to start the year.
Here we go, Giants, Brian Dable, Jones, and man, kicked the field goals blocked, defensive score. I mean, that was just basically the JV versus the varsity. So that was one to me that I think is legit.
What's the reaction there though? Because I can also make the case that it's an overreaction for how bad we might want to just crap all over the Giants. I think there was a lot that went wrong there. I think the fact that defensive line and the front 8 are proving to be, I mean, they had the best day yesterday of any defense probably.
Who's they?
The front 7 for the Cowboys.
Oh, they were just all over them. I think it was
just,
a 60% pressure rate.
I
mean, it confirmed both for me. I picked Dallas to go to the Super Bowl, and I remember somebody on the chat like, "Oh, I'm turning this off." I think they're loaded. I get it. You pick that team and they always burn you, but I think that team is absolutely loaded. And I just think the Giants, I mean, you look back last year, they were not really competitive with one good team all year. It was all bad teams. It was really just smoke and mirrors. So I don't know. What's your take? What's your counter to that?
My counter just that there's a slight overreaction that they are going to be, I don't know, a bottom, 8 to 10 team in the league, let's say, when all is said and done. I think maybe
Yeah.
their record might show them worse than what this team might actually be because of the tough schedule. It's maybe the hardest. It's top 3 hardest probably in the league. So there's reason to like fade them overall. But in general, like when they're going up in matchups that they still have a chance at, I still like them as like a 50-50 team with how much better I do think Daboll is capable of coaching than whomever his counterpart might be.
I would say, as somebody who's been a big proponent of Daboll, he has to take a little bit of a hit last night. I mean, his team got destroyed; they were outclassed. You have Danny Jones, you gave all this money to. It's 40-0. It's pouring rain. He's getting smacked in the mouth every play, and they're leaving him in there. Like, what was the point? One hit in your season
Play for
is over.
pride, baby.
I just don't get it.
No,
That was
I'm with
very
you.
strange to me. I think that's bad coaching. As looks like that's a foul ball in Atlanta. Philly, I thought Atlanta was going to take a lead here. That was very strange leaving him in there. And look, I was big. I know people don't want to lay -1, minus 170, minus 200. I was big. The Giants are not making the playoffs. Before Arizona started tanking, we talked about them 30-1 to have the worst record. We saw that last night, like why those kind of things are in play. And it's interesting, for people that are in Survivor, and Kyle Young brings up Survivor. Everyone picking against Arizona, it's dangerous because can you pick the Giants? It's Giants now minus 4.5 at Arizona. Do you trust the Giants as a Survivor next week? It's fascinating.
So I'll say this as someone that I don't want to sound like a biased person because I do have the Giants 30-1 for worst record, and I also have them to finish in the basement of the NFC East. I think I got it 6-1 to start the year. I just think it's one of those things where you kind of saw it. You talk about preparing an overreaction and that one that has weight, one that doesn't. I do think there's serious issues with Giants. My reaction was also, thanks for Tone Stamp here, that two of the worst losses you saw was the Bengals and Giants. I think the Giants have a lot more serious concerns than the Bengals. I think the Bengals just look at a sink. The Giants just looked. I mean, my thing is, you have Daniel Jones. You have that hiccup to start the game. I just don't trust Daniel Jones as a quarterback to be the guy to take a team and be like, hey, this BS play happened. Like kind of you saw in the Eagles game. Mac Jones answered the call. Like he kind of put the team on his back and got him back in that game. Daniel Jones, like after that block kick, he didn't really, rally behind anything. I know he's having trouble with the line, but I just don't trust him to win games when you start off like in a bad hiccup like that. I think the Giants really had a lot of showing things last night.
Yeah, that was a team stuff. I mean, he had the ball snapped over his head, then they block a field goal, get a touchdown. Like, I don't know what he's supposed to do about that. So that's why I think it's a little bit of an overreaction. But
how about the other 40 points they gave up?
I don't remember those. Wasn't that 2 defensive
I mean,
touchdowns too? Jesus Christ, 35 fantasy points there for Kyle Young, who was talking about having the Cowboys D. Yeah, that was probably pretty nice. Did you have an illegitimate overreaction? Well, I think we all gave legitimate ones, right?
I don't know that people are reacting, but I find it hard to believe like the Rams are going to be some really good team, right? That was an impressive performance. I was shocked their defense played that well. And those rookies, man, those guys you never heard of, you got some big games from them. I just don't know. Like 6 weeks from now, usually look back and go, wow, how did that happen week 1? Feels like that was more about Seattle stinking. I still don't know. Like, Kupp's going to miss a month. I don't know if Stafford will stay healthy. So, I mean, the Rams, again, that's one where, I don't know if fluke's the right word, but that's one I don't know that that's sustainable.
Fair.
Yeah. I thought that was a good game to watch, but yeah, I agree. It was actually nice to see Tutu Atwell get involved. I actually like Tutu Atwell a lot, but he's just been kind of in the basement of that team for so long, like all last year. So it was nice to see him get some catches. I think he's electric.
Who's the other kid that had like 10 catches? Pookie Onoko or something?
Yeah. They both look good. I mean, I always like it. I don't want to say that's a bad way to phrase it. I don't want to say like it, but it's always encouraging to me when someone like that gets hurt. Like, and you get, but you know what I mean? Like, and not that they get hurt, but I like to see guys that you follow get a chance. Because I think Tutu Atwell, like I have him in my sleeper league, and I drafted him when he came out of the rookie draft, and I was like, this guy's electric. And you got to see it yesterday. Like, a lot of those times you don't see people in the NFL get their chance. So it was good to see him go out there and play well.
Well, let's talk about Cincy because that's a big story. In Cleveland with Schwartz, I think Cleveland's going to be good. We mentioned them at like 4-1 to win the division. I think that there's a lot of talent. Now, they did lose Conklin. He's out for the year. And, man, a lot of injuries already. And Watson didn't look great. Now, it was a sloppy game. But I will say this, and I think Cincy probably will be okay. Let me just read the quarterbacks they beat last year and see if you feel differently. We could bring Tone Stamp here, too, because he's a Bengals fan. This is who Cincy beat last year at quarterback. Anthony Brown, Mitch Trubisky, Tyler Huntley, Mac Jones, Marcus Mariota, Baker Mayfield, Teddy Bridgewater, Joe Flacco, Andy Dalton, and Ryan Tannehill. Is it possible the balls just bounced their way a little bit for Cincy the past couple of years? Cincy was 5.4 yards per play on offense last year, middle of the pack, 5.4 yards per play on defense. Now you could say, hey, they made the Super Bowl 2 years ago and they were a play away from making it last year. So who cares about your stats? I don't know. Tone, jump in here. What's up?
I mean, did they not also beat Patrick Mahomes?
Mm-hmm. Well, they did, but that's like what? That's just 9 or 10 of the whatever 12 wins I just read off. 11 wins that were like, man.
I mean, I understand.
Patrick Mahomes. Let's be real here.
I understand what you're saying, but you got you play who you play. It's not like they're choosing to play these backup quarterbacks. But I'm not gonna completely overreact. I mean, this team in the last year did the same exact thing where they came out of the gates extremely slow, 0-2 to start the year. They lost to Cooper Rush. I mean, they struggled last year, and again,
helping your case a lot here. Yeah,
yeah, I know, right? But Joe Burrow had the appendectomy last year. He had no preseason work. Same thing happened with this year after the calf injury. This is obviously me huffing a lot of copium here, but I think they'll be fine. I'm not going to completely overreact to that. I want to see them against the Ravens, see how they do. The only difference between this year and last year is it's harder to come back down 0-2 in a division hole than it is 0-1.
Yeah.
Right. Minus 200 to make the playoffs, plus 160 to miss it for Cincy. I will say this: they're going to be 1, 2, maybe 3 good teams from the AFC that just don't make it. There's just too many good teams. Somebody you're going to get left out. Baltimore got beat up too, so that's the one positive. Even though they won. What else did I want to mention here before we get to the Jets Bills? Because Jets Bills is a fascinating game. Atlanta's up 1-0. Acuna leadoff walk, strike him out, throw him out, double play. Then Riley, it looks like he hit an inside the park homer. I don't know if they called it a triple in air.
I think they scored a triple
in an air,
and then like a throwing error. I think they I forget how they scored it.
Okay. What else? I wanted to mention. There was a big one I wanted to mention here. Oh, another one. I mean, not to just pat ourselves on the back the whole time. This idea that the Bears are going to be so much better and Fields and DJ Moore. That team stinks. Fields stinks. They have no defense. DJ Moore is not prime Randy Moss. Well, that's one that made
Chase Claypool had a good game though.
Claypool, that's got to be one of the worst trades in NFL history.
Again, it's one game,
but yeah, I mean that's to me that's a 4 or 5 win team. I mean,
I'm sorry. I just want to ask one more quick question, and I'm all over this with you. But Tone, why did T. Higgins have 0 receptions on like 6 or 7 targets? I didn't see any of those, but like, what the actual fuck happened there?
I will say that the Cleveland corners played very well. They were on T the entire time. Part of it is also there was a lot of Joe Burrow switching between glove, no glove, trying to outplay the elements, and he wasn't doing a great job of it.
So don't overreact to that.
I'm not going to completely overreact.
His 82 passing yards kind of proved he wasn't doing too well.
More than Daniel Jones had. Yeah. Okay, cool. I redirected us, but redirecting us back to the Packers. Like that was one of those that we talked about on the other pod, Will, where I was like, what if I'm missing something here? Then I'll be totally wrong. I'm so willing to be completely wrong on the Bears if that's the case, but I'm also willing to just shell out week 1. Thinking and knowing that in both lines, the Packers are better than this team at skill positions without Christian Watson. I was still like, Romeo Doubs is just going to, I guess, be good at wide receiver now because they have no defensive backfield in Chicago. There's nowhere on the field outside of Justin Fields. And like, I guess, and Khalil Herbert is nice and DJ Moore, if he can get open, is fine. There's nothing there. There's nothing else there, right? There's no substance to a football team.
I want to say this because I know we gave him a lot of shit when we did our MVP and our other drafts. I like Justin Fields. Like, I actually think he's so fun to watch.
I don't. Oh, he is fun to watch. He's
just so fun to watch. And like that team just has nothing. Like, I know it's like he has a lot of shortcomings, but there's just times where it's like, dude, is there anyone else on this offense even trying right now? Like, it's crazy at times. Like,
yeah, I get it. But yeah, I think that was an easy one. I don't know how well the Packers stack up still, say against the Lions or say against another team. But I know that if you're going to win the trenches, blah 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 blah, right? You're going to be a pretty good football team at worst.
What is this week 2? Is it Bucks Bears week 2? So the Bucks are going to have a chance here to be 2-0. That's an interesting. Bucks -3. I wouldn't lay it with Tampa, but I don't know that I'd take it with the Bears. So the Bucks have a chance here. Bucks are favored to be 2-0, which not a lot of
another legit reaction coming off of that. The Bucks being 2-0 is because Minnesota can't guard a single player.
Cousins was awful too. Cousins stinks.
I'm happy with him
Yes.
getting hollow stats as my fantasy QB in a league, but like
Yeah.
at the same time, I don't want him as my quarterback if I'm trying to win football games, and there's no defense to back him up. So Justin Jefferson can score, can get 200 yards a game. It's might not matter.
Right.
Yeah, my friend that's just he's just starting getting into betting. He took like the Ravens and Minnesota parlay together. He's like, how the hell did either of these teams lose? And he's texting me, he's like,
it's fun.
how are the Vikings losing? I'm like, dude, welcome to
They're
the show.
bad.
This is how it works. This is how it works. Like trust me, there's gonna be a lot more frustration going your way. I lost a bet yesterday for Dallas Goedert to have over 0.5 receiving yards. So we've all been there.
As somebody who has Arizona 22-1 to go winless, I got the shit scared out of me yesterday. And you could say, oh man, they almost won on the road. Your bet's dead. Man, if the Giants beat them this week, that bet is very much alive because Washington did everything to gift them that game, and Arizona still couldn't win. Howell was just giving them the ball. Washington kept giving the ball. At one point, they were +3 to turnovers. And if you were going to lose that game, man, and Dobbs is okay. He's not like the worst quarterback I've ever seen. If they don't lose this week, the schedule gets if they don't beat the Giants this week, it gets tough quickly. A lot of San Fran and some better teams down the road here. Arizona, despite the fact that they covered, they were in that game. They might be really bad. They might have a chance. Again, they'll probably luck into one or two, but I don't think it's impossible here they go winless.
Sports folks were probably watching that game with so much hope. Like, oh my god, like, all I kept thinking about when they were winning for that like long stretch. I was like, man, if there's anybody right now that's like salivating, is all these sportsbook with all these teaser action again with Washington, just hoping that they ruin that. But yeah, I do think it'll be fun, Will, where me and you will be very opposed for week 2 because I'm so rooting for the Cardinals. I'm rooting for the Giants' downfall so bad now. It also doesn't help that my girlfriend and her family are all big Giants fans, and now I can double down on my Giants hate. It's gonna be fun.
Is there anything that happened yesterday that triggers a bet? Tyreek Hill is +900 at DraftKings Offensive Player of the Year. Him and Jefferson are both 9-1. Would you jump in on Tua? Is it too early? Is it not too early?
It's never too early.
I
I mean, dude, no one was
God,
saying
that was actually good.
Can you just let it land, dude? Just let the joke land. It's never too early to assume that he's gonna he can throw for 400 yards. Is he gonna play in 6 games this season? That's it.
Yeah, he
That's
looked good
really
yesterday. My fantasy team was happy.
He looked awesome. Anybody who was questioning his ability to like throw a football, move around in a pocket, and throw a football well, I don't think that was reasonable.
I do. I think he's just. I think he's just got such an advantage. Those guys are always so open. He made some good throws. I'm not going to take that away from him.
Yeah.
Hill's open by 9 miles. Waddle, like you can't. Those are two like the 6 or 7 best receivers in the sport. The guys are so open. He did fit some balls in there. I don't know if you put him on the Lions, the Chargers, the Giant. Like how would he look on the Giants? Is he a difference maker, or they dress him up with good play calling, good receivers?
You could put Peyton Manning out there. I don't know what the fuck
Peyton Manning would make them good.
No, I don't think he would. I think Michael.
What happened to all this Giants defend? You're just defending the Giants, and now you're shitting.
Against that Cowboys line, you needed Michael Vick to be playing quarterback for you.
Oh, that when you can't block, that's one thing. But I just mean in general, like there's a happy medium.
Hodgins, Wayne, like it's bad. My thing is if you put another quarterback in Tua's spot, how many quarterbacks do as well as Tua?
And I think a good number of them.
I don't know, man.
I think a good number
like
of
being
them.
able to throw to Tyreek Hill on the run. I understand he's wide open, but he's still running a 4.140 while he's doing it at like 22 miles an hour. You like it's still a hard target to hit, but. I get your point. I think there's no overreaction for me in that game. I think that game was within 3 points, 4 points, and was always going to be. So the taking the dog there was just basically because they were the dog, and that's
Didn't you lay it with the Chargers?
No, we both talked about Miami.
Okay, I thought you said you were on the opposite side.
No, I said I would have liked the Chargers at -2.5, and I didn't take it. But once it got to 3.5, then I was good with the Dolphins. So
yeah. That was a fun game.
It
It made up for that was as much as we were all excited to have football back. That 1 o'clock slate was ugly. It was ugly like for fantasy football. It was ugly for touchdown. I mean, it was just sloppy. It was like basically a continuation of the preseason. But it was great to have it back.
To the Bills because we're getting questions about Aaron Rodgers tonight. But I also wanted to say like you asked the question about a future bet that might be affected. I think the Lions are pretty good for that division. I don't know how far down it might have gone. But I think they'll still be able to.
I have them +190, so
yeah,
I'm a big Lions
fan.
fan.
They're probably still about even money, right? So
-130 at DraftKings.
Okay,
it's even on FanDuel. It's +100 on FanDuel.
There you go. Shop around. Use.
That would be one thing I would consider. Is like I do think that was legit. I also think the Chiefs are so fucking good as soon as Travis Kelce's in there. But I think that
probably
for Detroit,
probably.
But yeah, for this, the first question we got about this was from Patrick Bennett asking what do we think of Aaron Rodgers? And I think Will loves him a lot, so maybe you should start that.
I'm all on the Jets tonight. I think if nothing else, are a great teaser leg. I think they win this game. I think the Jets were really almost made the playoffs last year with probably the worst quarterback play in the entire league. And you're gonna get Rodgers. He's motivated. Remember, he was not healthy last year. He had a banged up thumb, so you worry it's going to take some growing pain. He didn't play much in the preseason. There's an adjustment with the new receivers. You do worry about that, and you never want to go crazy week one. But I do like the Jets tonight. I think that building's going to be crazy. Remember, it's New York. A lot of emotion in that building. I like the Jets, and just in terms of props, Wilson's interesting. I think he's going to feed Wilson. I think Wilson's basically going to be unguardable.
Do you have action on Wilson already?
I think I got him offensive. I took offensive player of the year.
I mean, for this game, I wasn't sure if I saw you post on your channel. No, I don't know why I was like.
No, it's funny because I did use one of my boosts on. There's a 50% boost on DraftKings for Bills Jets, and I used it on Wilson 3+ touchdowns at 50 to 1 to raise it to 75 to 1. I mean, that's not. I mean, it's just
it's
$25, so you're just going for a long shot. And
to kind of piggyback off your love for the Jets, I mean, the one prop I gave out last week, and I'm still riding with it, and I wish I put more on it because it did move to 38.5. I did take Josh Allen over 35.5 rushing yards. I know we talked about maybe he won't take some hits, but this is one of those games. If he's playing from behind, it's week one. You mentioned all this emotion. Josh Allen's just the kind of guy that I don't know. I feel like he can say all he wants in the offseason about like, oh, I got to protect myself, this and that. But as soon as he hikes that football, like I just feel like he sees red sometimes.
Take over.
He just goes out. Yeah. So I just think his line for rushing attempts is 7.5. I just think he gets like he has so much success against his team. They have such good coverage down the field that if he has to take off, I think he would either be okay with it or he'll seek it because I just think that's kind of the guy he likes to be.
It's a fast defense, though. I just wouldn't play it because I think it's a fast defense. He ended the year last year hurt, and there's been an emphasis. Hey, I got to run less. I got to keep my body healthy. Man, that's a dangerous defense to run against. You take the wrong hit from the wrong guy, you're getting ready for next year. They are. I mean, fast,
he shredded them last year on the ground, though. I don't know. I'm riding with. I think he had like 70 some his last game against the Jets.
And he did get hurt. That was the game he got hurt, I think. That was the game he got hurt. Remember, he hurt his elbow like right around. It was like it was sometime in November. So
it was the middle of November. Yep. He played the whole game too, but he threw like it was like 50%, 55%,
and he was not great the rest of the year.
Yep. And then he took a big hit. Yeah, he had 86 yards and 2 teeters, and he was running early in that game. He had like a 30-yard run or whatever. I remember at the beginning, but. I like the thing to me is I was looking at the total. I was thinking about the under on the total once it got up to 45.5 on a few books. And the other thing is just like if Aaron Rodgers is playing quarterback and this, and the Jets aren't relying on needing to win this game 20-17 or whatever, like I think one of these teams is scoring more than 20 points in this one, and 45 now like feels a little bit low, to be honest, if Aaron Rodgers is able to like keep this thing close. But I just don't know what the Bills are really going to be able to do against that defense. I think they're still good enough to do it, but yeah, it's just like the bad taste of Josh Allen's performances at the end of the season and that are just in my rearview mirror directly.
I think I'm going to fade. I think I'm going to take Allen rushing under just because of that. Just because, hey, the little PTSD of I got hurt versus this team last year. I want to stay healthy. I'm going to take under. What number do you get, Brian? What's
I got 35. I got 35.5. I just think my thing is that this is a line that last year was always in the mid 40s, and if it's lower because they think he's going to have less design runs, I think that scrambling alone will help him get there. So we'll see.
Jared brings up something good that a really good point. Something we should have mentioned. Weather's still looking iffy for tonight. I don't have that top of my hands. We can find that very quickly,
I mean, it's supposed to be a wet field, so that also plays into my Josh Allen analysis. I think that whenever he plays in the snow or rain, that seems just to be where he likes to start using those legs.
Yes. How about anything first touchdown score? Because I want to get to what you guys think they'll do with running back too. Because BetRivers lets you parlay these running back props with Hall and Cook. So if you think one of them gets most of the carries, you can just parlay it and fade the other and really get bang for your buck. I just don't know. I don't see anything other than it being split, so I don't know what's actionable there. But let's get the first touchdown score. Diggs plus 750, and this is DraftKings, of course, shop around. Wilson plus 850, Cook plus 950, Hall 11-1, Cook 11-1, Allen 11-1. Man, these numbers are kind of shrunk and condensed here. Harris 13-1. I forgot he was on Buffalo. Gabe Davis 15-1. I mean, you got like a million guys 20-1 or under. Alan Lazard 16-1. Come on. Dalton Kincaid 16-1.
Give me that.
That's not a bad sleeper, but man, I like a little better than 16-1.
These are all 21.5.
These are all better on FanDuel for sure.
Okay. What do you got on FanDuel if you want to read them?
Yeah, like just for instance, just the last one you said was Dalton Kincaid. He's 2,100 on FanDuel. I think you said
that's my guy tonight. I actually think I'm going to take a small stab at him to score anytime plus 400 on MGM. Just because if you look at the numbers, Josh Allen 2 seasons ago threw to Dawson Knox 20% of the time in the red zone. Last year, he only threw to him 8%, just because Dawson Knox just looked awful a lot of times last year. I just think that they don't really have a good slot presence, and if Josh Allen wants to have that tight end presence again, like this is the guy. You don't draft him that early to not use him, right? Like if he wants that big body to use in the red zone, I think it's going to be him.
I can dig it.
And there is 39.5 here for Allen at Bet Rivers. That is minus 129 and 36.5 at DraftKings. Again, that's a nice little middle there. So make sure you shop around. Make sure you use Pickett.
I saw a first time touchdown that I thought was pretty interesting. 30-1 for a Jets defensive or special team touchdown.
It's not terrible. It's not terrible. How about the Cowboys defense getting both of them yesterday?
Can we talk about how crazy it is that FanDuel no longer lists special teams as first touchdown scorers? They didn't pay out any of that. That's just so crazy that you can not offer a very legitimate option and then just pocket all the bets. That's a little
bullshit.
Crazy to
yes,
me.
That's ridiculous.
The fact that you can list just defense, and if that happens, no one wins. How is that a void if you don't offer special teams?
You just collecting everything. Yeah, you're just scooping everybody. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous.
Especially because their own house rules mentioned, like if a first basket, if someone gets put in the lineup and they weren't listed, it's a void. That's just how it works.
Yeah.
I don't know how you can not offer that and then just be like, oh, well,
absolutely, 100%. You should not offer a market where there can't be any winners, and there's no winners, and just everybody's a loser. You keep all the money. That's not right. I totally agree.
Yeah.
Totally agree.
Someone in the chat also just said Kincaid was it 2100 would be a good look. Yeah, I think like I said, you can risk a quarter unit to win a unit for any time touchdown as well. I'm going to be doing that.
Tone says Hamlin not expected to be active tonight. Will this affect comeback player of the year? I just think the case for him, as long as he plays a snap at some point, the fact that he again died on the field last year, as long as he plays at some point, he's still the rightful favorite.
Me and my friends were talking yesterday how crazy it would be because he's going to record like one tackle this year, win it, and Calvin Ridley's going to have like 2,500 yards, 16 touchdowns, and it's like, yeah, but you just bet on yourself. Yeah. We don't really want to give. We don't want to give it to you. Like,
Tua is another one that's interesting. I mean, Tua
has a lot more of a case. Yeah, Tua is now the MVP favorite. Some books. Isn't that crazy?
Interesting. Yeah, it doesn't shock me again.
No, I mean, like I said, the market likes the market likes to overreact. But if you're getting them 7-1 now, no. If you got them 20-1 earlier, good for you, great number. But yeah, don't buy it now.
Late to the party. Absolutely. What do you guys?
Some stuff that because people keep asking about Alan Lazard and Cobb and talking about that in the chat right now on the YouTube chat, and like I don't know what we already mentioned Garrett Wilson, and I just keep coming back to like. I'm probably not going to bet on a single Jets receiver this season not named Garrett Wilson unless he's not playing because it's just going to be Devontae Adams and Aaron Rodgers all over again. Like if you watch Hard Knocks, that is one thing I highly believe in is every single time Aaron Rodgers is like, all right, I'm done throwing to people I don't trust. He just doesn't do it. He's going to go. I mean, I get he trusts Lazard and Cobb, but like,
yeah, it's interesting.
He's got this giant, one of the best wide receivers in the league. Like it's going to go to him a lot, you know?
That's going to be a hell of a combination. That's why I took a shot with him with Wilson on some of these touchdowns. What do you guys think? You guys think it's an even split here for Hall, Cook? What do you guys? What would be your angle on the running backs?
Even split. I think you're going to be frustrated for a while. Yeah.
But I think Josh mentioned it too, as you mentioned the hot hand. I think it's going to be even, but then you might see it shift in the second half depending on play.
And I think that's going to be partly due to the fact that Breece Hall is not going to be the clear-cut RB1 until week 3 or 4, in my opinion, right? Like you ease him back into it. You don't give him more than 12 to 15, no matter what. And then, you get him in week 6, he's fully healed. And you're like, wait, one of these dudes is just clearly different than the other one. Yeah. And that's when he pulls away from Dalvin Cook, gets to his 18 to 20 carries a game. And then you can start feeling good about it. But in the first 3 to 4, 5 weeks, depending on how fast he heals, like he's already healed faster than anyone I've seen at running back from an ACL like that.
He had to. I mean, he basically had to. I mean,
game speed's different though. It would worry me. What do you guys think? Jets +2. What do you guys just decide? Forget the props for a minute. Who would you pick?
I think they're gonna have too many flaws and problems. I'm going to take the Bills and sure thing in week 1. Like come week 10, we might be like, all right, this is Aaron Rodgers rolling with a team that is, but I don't think week 1, that offense against still top 10-ish, 15-ish defense at least is going to be able to just come out and click. Like I think they did it occasionally in preseason and in camp that we saw, like I said, training camp, but I don't think that means like you said, game speed will. I don't think Aaron Rodgers and his people are there yet.
Yeah, definitely a concern.
Yeah.
I'm probably gonna avoid all the total and just watch the game. I think this is. I mean, like this is mine where I just don't. I don't want to be wrong in either of these teams because I think there's a great case to be made for both of them. So I'll probably just watch the game and just enjoy it and hope it's not a 40-0 blowout like last night.
If nothing else, that's a great teaser. I mean, Jets +8 up on a teaser with the Eagles on Thursday night. Get them to -1.5 against Minnesota at home. That would be one that I would certainly endorse. I think it'll be.
I dig that. I do like Garrett Wilson 69.5 receiving yards. Nice over that, right? Like
I like how you can actually find 66.5, but you made sure to go for the 69.
Where did you find 66?
Dedication. Oh, it's on DraftKings if you use Pickett Sports.
Oh, yeah. They need a app that's easier to get on desktop. But yeah, I used it on my phone earlier. I think it might have changed. I might have had a glitch in my internet too because Pickett's pretty much fucking perfect. So, but yeah, I would like Garrett Wilson, whatever you can get him at.
Yeah, let me see. I'm checking now. Yeah, 66.5 on Cambia as well on Barstool.
Word. I'm in Connecticut.
Like that. But I was gonna say too is to kind of close off our loop about this running back situation. I like Breece Hall so much, and it's one of those things where the team did what was in their best interest, but talk about a guy coming off injury trying to be the number one guy. Like, they get Dalvin Cook. It's not like Dalvin Cook isn't like a running back that's like, oh, he has a chance to do that. Like Dalvin Cook has been one of the better running backs. Like I know injuries aside, but he's been so good for so long. So signing him really kind of gums up the works with how you think this backfield's going to work. That's especially early on.
Yeah. All right. Well, that'll do it. Anything else before we bounce?
I can just quickly throw out my baseball plays.
Go.
I did make those. We have got Tyler Glass now. By the way, I was really wrong on him. I tried to go under 7.5 Ks. He had 14 in that game. I got Glass now.
What was the line? Was it 15.5 or
this time? This time it's still at 7.5, but I'm going 17.5 outs. And the 7.5 Ks I don't hate, but I think they're a good bet to handle the Twins there. He doesn't walk people. The Twins rely on walks. Also got Milwaukee money line with Brandon Woodruff on the mound. Luzardo's on there too. Luzardo for the Marlins, but Woodruff's just going to shut this team down. And then I also like the Cubbies and Jordan Wicks to keep rolling against shitty bats like the Colorado Rockies. With the run line there, -112 for them.
All right. Good luck on all your plays. Appreciate you guys for listening. Twitch, the chats, Hall of Fame bets, Pickett, Sleeper. We'll be back tomorrow, 1:00 Eastern. Until then, good luck with all your plays.